Great. So my name is Andrew Shuttleworth and I'll be your host for today. I'm very eager to hear about all the final pitches happening later on. And on our agenda today, here's a quick rundown. We'll start with some welcoming remarks by Ruse Abe, manager of the Corporate Venturing Office from Hitachi, and an introduction to the judging panel. We will next have a brief overview of the challenge. Following that, we'll have some information on the final event. Then we'll have the exciting finalist pitches split into two segments with a short break in between, followed by jury deliberation. Finally, we'll have some closing remarks on our very exciting reward ceremony. So it's my great pleasure now to invite Ryusei Abe, manager of the Corporate Venturing Office from Hitachi, to share a few words officially to kick off today's final event. Ryusei Abe, please, the floor is all yours.
Yes, thank you very much for the introduction, Andrew. Hello all, as introduced, this is Ryusei Abe. I'm part of Hitachi's Corporate Venturing Office, and I'm thrilled to give these opening remarks today. I would like to thank again Agori's team, as well as the Hitachi participants, and I would like to focus especially on the ones from Hitachi Railway System in Japan, European R&D, Japan R&D, Hitachi Energy, and Energy Business Administration teams who are involved in the startup review and mentoring process. If I'm allowed to mention their names, I would like to acknowledge Tommaso, Elisa, Peter, Felipe, Alberto, Sakikawa-san, Hamaoka-san, Tomita-san, Lohan, Patricia, Yoshimura-san, and Okano-san for all your great support, effort, and passion that you dedicated on these last 3 months with all those daily and weekly reviews and discussions that we had. I believe we were able to identify some great startups, and I hope we can continue such discussions even after this event is done. I'd like to also highlight that we couldn't come up to this point if there weren't for these exceptional startups who brought their innovative technologies and ideas for a variety of challenges that has commonalities with Hitachi's vision and some of the objectives. Here, I would like to describe and restate for some of you about Hitachi's objectives for this Agori's event. And I think we can sum up in these three main categories. First one is to explore new business models and technologies in the smart mobility and energy area. Second is to find new insights and potential collaboration opportunities with these great startups. And last but not least, to enhance further collaborations among business units and R&D, as well as Europe and Japan teams, since this was the first time we held this event across multiple countries from Hitachi side. So without further delay, I'm excited to see today's startups and looking forward to hearing everyone's presentations and discussions. So thank you very much, and please enjoy the event. I'd like to turn over to Andrew from here.
Thanks, Ryusei, for your insightful remarks and for opening the session. Next, I would also like to introduce our judging panel for this year's Startup Challenge. It is our pleasure to have them join us today, and we have with us Hiroaki Koiwa, Chief Lumada Business Officer and Deputy Chief Digital Officer of Hitachi Rail. We have Satoru Nagai, General Manager, Digital Transformation Division. Takayoshi Nishino, Head of Digital Rail Solutions, LOB Rail Control and Digital Japan. Hiromitsu Kato, General Manager, Service Systems Innovation Center, Research and Development Group. Peter Homan, Chief Designer, European R&D Center. And last but not least, Kenichi Funaki, General Manager, Corporate Venturing Office, Innovation and Growth Strategy Division. Thank you, judges, for joining us today. Now, let me share a few key figures about the challenge thus far. We started off with our application phase on September the 12th and have garnered 232 solutions. We then proceeded to the mentoring phase on November the 10th. And now here we are, the final event with our amazing top 10 finalists from all over the world. Our challenge focus this year is on smart mobility and energy, with a sub-theme as smart traffic flow management, including EV value chain, transportation and energy. Our top 10 finalists have access to opportunities for possible collaboration with Hitachi incubation representatives, connection to related business units, the possibility to discuss proofs of concepts, and of course, pitching to Hitachi's top executives in today's final event. Now, before we proceed to the final pitch session we are all waiting for, let me give a quick overview as to what to expect for the pitch session, as well as the judging criteria. We will have 5 minutes of pitching time and 8 minutes of Q&A for each startup. Do note that the 4-minute mark of the 5-minute pitching time, you will receive a Zoom alert from the co-host that you have 1 minute left. Do proceed to wrap up your pitch from there. Also, during the 8-minute Q&A, there will be concurrent translation done by a Hitachi representative, which will be included in the 8 minutes timing. The judging criteria will include value of the addressed issues, potential to create a strong customer base, innovativeness of the technology and business model, feasibility, as well as impact of the solution. And here's the running order for today. Finalists and judges, please take note of the rundown here. In the first session, we'll have RoadSense, Parabol, 365 Energy Harvesting, Autonome, and Pionix. In the second pitch session, we'll have No Traffic, One Motor Technologies, Smart Nanotube Technologies, AV Living Lab, and Shiva.ai. Once again, a reminder that we'll have the first pitching session, followed by a 5-minute break, and then the second pitching session. So now the pitch session we've all been waiting for. First up, it's my pleasure to invite Baruch Guita from RoadSense to share their remarks. Baruch, over to you, please.
Hello, thank you very much. Great. Can you see my screen, please?
You can see it. Please just make it full screen.
Yeah, sure. So hi, hello, everybody. My name is Baruch. I'm the CEO of RoadSense. We founded RoadSense in 2019 in order to close a huge gap in cities where there is not enough information to run modern cities and make them smart in the public space, for the benefit of all of us. We've found that there are 5 major issues that we need to solve in cities in order to make them smart in the public space. The first one is infrastructure. Infrastructure in cities is quite old, and it takes lots of budgets in order to fix it. Then you've got security and hackers. We don't want any good and hacker to shut down the city. Then it goes to privacy, obviously. Then we need to engage the community with this solution, and then we need to include everybody, okay, and not to skip any community. Now, each and every task of these 5 is massive, but we managed to solve them all. If we look today at the public space, we will see that the common knowledge is to put a camera pole down here and to observe the public space. We look at it differently. We take the public space and we break it into pieces. We track each and every component or zone in the city differently, because we know that curb 1 will never act as curb 2. We know that crosswalk 1 will never act as crosswalk 2, and so on. Then each zone is responsible to upload its data to the cloud. In the cloud, we take all this information and we create one clear picture of the city in real time. It's digital twin, but in real time, and then provide all this information to stakeholders. How do we do it? We've developed a new kind of sensor. It is a radar-based sensor. All it needs to do to work is power. The rest is wireless. We can mount it to poles or to walls. It takes less than 20 minutes to make a smart zone, and it consumes so little power that it can work completely off grid, but work on solar poles. Now, we know that the public space is unique, each and every component, but we also know that cities are unique because each city got its own demands or requirements from its public space, dealing with its own issues. That's why we've made a flexible solution that helps cities, that provides cities information based on components. Each city can choose which components she wants to measure in its public space. Then you can stream it to the dashboard or directly to API or even to someone's phone. We want to stop the chase after data. We want the data to be available all the time. If we take this kind of solution that tracks people very well and tracks vehicles very well, then we found that we can solve thousands of use cases or countless use cases in a public space. Goes from smart parks up to restricted perimeters and even support autonomous vehicles as we can transmit directly to them information. Now, the thing is that all this can be done today. Another issue that we are tackling is the pricing. With the same price of a single CCTV pole, we can install 30 to 50 sensors and get a bigger coverage of information, including the metrics and the analytics. We found during the time that we've made a game changer because we know how to track the public space and we know how to do it without harming privacy on any given infrastructure on any city in the world with its current infrastructure, without having the city being exposed to hackers, etc. In the long run, we will see impact on the cities by reducing car accidents and but also we will see a decreasing in energy consumption in the city. And this is the impact we want to achieve. We're already proud to serve customers in Israel, in India, and in the United States, and we look to cooperate with multi-corporations like Hitachi as our solution is ready to scale globally. Finally, our team, we've got Avi in our team, which is our CTO, but also a data enthusiast. And we've got in our team Itamar Ariel and Professor Papi is helping us to understand how powerful a radar can be. Thank you for this opportunity, for your time, and I'm happy to take your questions.
Thank you, Baruch, for bringing us through your solution. So your 8 minutes of Q&A starts now. Judges, you may go ahead with your questions. Please feel free to unmute yourself and just fire away.
Can I raise a question from my side? This is Kenish Frankie.
Please go ahead.
Yes. Yep. Well, thank you very much, Braxton. That it is quite interesting, and I'm curious about how much you have the impact on the societal issues. But my question is more specific one. But regarding the customers, potential customers, do you have a appropriate sweet spot in terms of the size of the municipal or the spaces or the towns or cities?
Yes, we have. Thank you for the questions. When we look at cities, we look on two verticals. First is the city themselves. We know that with cities, the sales is a very long cycle. That's why we connect with cities, then just to create the demand. Then we approach to the relevant integrator that works with the city, and through him, we are implementing the solution in the city.
Mm-hmm.
This is how we create, this is our executive arm, basically, the integrator, not the city. The city is the end user, but the customer is the integrator. The sweet spot that we're looking for is 12% of the city that's responsible for 80% of the accidents. We know that each city got its own high injury network. It goes between 9% to 13, 14% per city, where 80% of the accidents happen there. This is what we're looking for. And then we'll get a very fast impact on the cities.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
May I raise a question? Thanks, Greta. It's Peter from London. I'd like to ask you for a more specific question. What is your minimal installation to achieve a meaningful tracking preciseness for meaningful data capturing? So I think one sensor, one road wouldn't make it, but could you explore that precision pattern you need to obtain meaningful data?
Sure. Can I share my screen, please? I would like to show you something. Yeah. Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Great. Thank you. This is how we see the world with radars, okay? And this is the cornerstone here in Tel Aviv, in Israel. And you are seeing live the street. Now let's wait for a second for a pedestrian to cross. But regarding your question, this is an entrance to city in Israel, okay? And we tracking all this information using only two sensors, okay? Only two sensors that, sorry, it's protected, so it just keeps. We are counting vehicles for the city with only two sensors. Okay, one on the inside, one on the outside of the city. Sorry, it doesn't work. Yeah, okay, here we go. Okay, and then we provide the city with this information. Now they've been trying for 15 years to get these numbers using cameras and analytics, and they couldn't get these numbers. So yeah, to your questions, one sensor is a very powerful one. It depends on the use case you want to solve.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Peter. Any more questions from the judges?
Okay, can I ask a question?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, this is Hiro Mitsukato from Hitachi R&D Group. Do we need to develop our own specific application based on top of your platform, or do you develop the application by yourself for us?
We do. We provide everything from data collection to the end game. You know, to the results you want to find. The thing that we need to work together is to understand the problems. Okay, we know how to provide a solution in a way that will be meaningful to the customer, to Hitachi. But we need to understand the problem. What do you want to see? What do you want to analyze? And then we will convert it. How do we see it in data? And provide you all the information. But we do everything.
So, does that mean do you plan to what kind of installation for each site? Or for example, what kind of radar and what kind of CCTV to be installed in each site? Can you plan for that?
I'm sorry, I didn't get your question. Sorry.
I assume that we need to install the camera or radar to develop this platform. But do you plan what kind of radar or what kind of CCTV to be installed in each site?
Okay, so
do you have such an engineering tool or planning tool?
Yes, we have. The radar looks like this. Okay, this is just a small box. Okay, and this is it. All it needs to work is power. Now we've got many sensors deployed in many cities in Israel, in India, and in the United States. So we're aggregating and collecting data and analyzing data all the time. On each project, we need less effort to make it work because we've got the knowledge, the know-how. We know how to make the manual for it to work very quickly.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great. I think we have time for just for one more quick question, if anyone has one. If not, then I think we're pretty much up. So I think we'll move on to our next presenter. So thank you, Juju.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Rodhan. Thank you, Baruch. So next up, we have Tucha Isik Elifchora from Parable to share their presentation. Tucha.
Yes, thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm sharing my screen now. Is it all good?
Yep.
Okay, thank you very much. Hi, everyone. I am Tuğçe, and I am the marketing director of Parabol. Thanks for all joining me today. As Parabol, we are working for making sustainable mobility real, and we are to do that, we are gathering mobility-related data from different data sources and turning them into actionable insights and recommendations with our AI-based mobility algorithms. We are providing different software instruments for multimodal mobility management and analytics, and we try to provide answers for the 5WH questions of the urban mobility, like why people move and how they move, and how we can redirect them to the more sustainable modes, actually. We have a capacity to process more than 1 billion data in a daily basis, and we are doing it for now more than 50 cities in 11 countries and 3 continents as well. So we are actually dealing with the climate change, right? So we have to make sustainable our mobility behavior and the demand. And to do that, we are dealing with our stakeholders, dealing with different problems. In public transportation, this is one of the key transportation modes for sustainable mobility. They are dealing with the rising fuel prices, driver shortage, evolving ridership needs, the rapid change like the pandemic, lack of updated data. To do that, to dealing with that, actually, the conventional methods, it's not sustainable and efficient. But the big data methods, it can be more cheaper and adaptable to different needs. So we need to we need a solution that represents the whole passenger's demand and that represents the sustainable data sources. So we are providing the AI-based decision support systems in public transportations for the urban mass transit operators, and the systems provide the mobility analytics like the EV prioritization, the analytics from macro level to the micro level, and the data management processing capacity and the optimization capacity in one platform. We are providing the monitoring, evaluating, and the planning of the public transportation in one systems to reduce cost, environmental negative impacts, and increase the service level of public transportation. Like as you can see here, this is the monitoring part, and we are providing the operational efficiency measurement with online GPS and the GTFS editor, like the schedule compliance, passenger load transfer analysis. In evaluating part, we are providing different analytics from micro level to the macro, like the stop-based level to the origin destination analysis to understand the demand of the public transport users. And the last step, the planning part, the optimization part. In the same systems, we manage the data, we provide the analytics, and the last step, we are also giving the scenario for the optimizations. We are asking that, what's your aim? You want to minimize your cost? Okay, this is your schedule. This is the need of the number of the cars that you can use. So this is the scenario that you can try actually in your operations. But the actual aim, it can be different. If you wanted to decrease the carbon emission, it can be a different scenario provided by the system as well. What's the difference for our solution? Actually, we are providing it with the AI-based genetic algorithms, and we are using the high-performance computing technology, and it increases the performance in like 90%. So we are giving the results in just 6 minutes instead of 1 hour. We are quick and we are more efficient. And we are also providing more comprehensive analysis from origin destination to accessibility to EV prioritization and optimization suggestions. We believe doing it in a one systems in a modular based. The business model, firstly, we wanted to actually making more sustainable modes more preferable as public transportation. We wanted to reduce operational cost, increase efficiency, and we are the main target of our solution in the urban mass transit operators, and we are providing it as a SaaS-based model, modular-based model. So we don't, our customers, our targets don't have to use the system as a whole package. It depends on their actual demand. The targets, the first target actually the east side of the Europe, and also the in the long term in the more Asian region as well. Of course, there's a great team behind the whole process, behind all systems. We have experience in the urban planning, traffic engineering, public transport system, road safety analytics, big data engineering, development of the AI-based mobility algorithms. In a roadmap, now we are focusing on the management, analytics, and the optimization part. But in the coming years, we are mostly focused on the electrical vehicle optimization and the analysis and the changing of the systems in public transportation. And we are adding the KPIs related to the level of service, carbon emission, vehicle performance, driver performance to our system. Why are we here? Actually, we believe the
just to
power of
continue,
being
we're
together.
a little bit over the
Yeah.
time rate. Please just start your presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. We are actually seeing the potential to be together, and the Hitachi is especially related to the public transport solutions. Thank you for that. This is the end of my presentation. I'm happy to answer your question.
Wonderful. Thank you for the great presentation, Tuca. I'll now hand over to the judges for the Q&A.
So, can I? Let me start with a simple question. Okay, thank you very much. My name is Kenichi Funaki of Corporate Venturing Office. I'm curious about your stage of the products, or maturity of the product. You have already a prototype or already commercialized product?
It's actually the commercialized product. All modules now commercialized, and it's used by our users.
So how many customers you have gotten?
Actually, as I said, it's kind of a different module, the systems, but at the total for now, the 10 customers use the systems.
Excuse me, 12?
10, actually. The 10 customers.
Oh, okay, yes.
The customer profile is also the change, but whoever actually operates the public transportation, this is the one that we work for.
I see. Got it. Thank you very much.
Thank you too.
Thank you, Kenichi. Next question from the judges, please.
Can I raise a question? My name is Hiromitsu Kato from R&D Group. You mentioned in the slide of roadmap, you will be providing the EV optimization and analysis. What kind of optimization will you do?
Actually, we are starting with some prioritization analytics. Like one of the public transport operators want to change their vehicles with the electrical ones. We are giving some prioritization part. Okay, this part of the operation area can be a good start for your changing. So this percentage of the fleet now can be the electrical ones. We are also we are using not the public transport related data for this analytics, also the electrical charge station, the batteries level, and the land use of the city, also the actually data source for that. But we started with the electrical prioritization, and then the optimization scenarios, like in the public transport part, for the route optimization, schedule optimization, and the car and driver optimization.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you too. As a data source, maybe I forgot to mention that we are using some static data related to public transportation, like the line stopped and the schedule info from the providers, but also we are using the smart card data to produce origin destination from the ticket company, validator company, and also the camera data from the occupancy, the loading data of the usage of the public transportation, and we are using it especially for the optimization part.
Thank you. Any more questions from the judges for Parabol?
If I may, it's Peter from London. Also, maybe a rather simple question. What would be your focus point for engaging with Hitachi if you want to move on? What would be your proposal to work with Hitachi closer on what specifically?
Actually, we want to, generally we are making a partnership, especially with the data providers, because we don't provide any kind of hardwares for our users. If you have capacity for the data, like the smart card or the camera data, we wanted to try some POC level project in one city to show our impact for especially for the electrical ones, because actively we are working for the electrical vehicles and their usage in the public transportations. So we wanted to make together some POC project. We wanted to combine our actually the strength of the analytics, big data analytics part, with actually Hitachi's visions in the public transportation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you too.
Right, thank you, Peter. Any more questions from the judges? We have a few minutes left if needed.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please go ahead.
Hello, thank you very much. I'm Hiro Koyo from Hitachi. What kind of the feedback have you already received so far from the customer, and especially about your business model?
Sorry, I couldn't hear the first part of your question. What kind of?
Feedback from the customer.
Feedback, okay. Actually, especially related to the optimization part, it's really important because for now our customers, like in the Turkey or the high inflation rate countries, and it's dealing with the actually high rising fuel prices, and it's actually try to survive in their operations, and one car drop, the reduce in just one car in their operations, it's actually really helpful for that. So the scenarios, especially for they're minimizing their costs, changing their schedule, like providing some express suggestions for their operations, especially this one is really helpful for that. Like in one case, we provide the 10% decrease their cost, and it's really huge for that. 10% maybe it doesn't sound too much, but in their operations, there's a huge operations, as you can imagine, and it's really huge for that. And also the monitoring their performance is really important because we are providing some analytics, and they see the solutions and they implement the suggestions in their operations, but try to understand their validation. It should be the monitoring also in the operations, and systems also gave to them, and monitoring, evaluating, and also the planning in one platform, and doing in one platform in an updated data, especially in a standardized data in just one platform. This is the approach that actually liked much more.
Thank you. Great, thank you.
Thank you too.
Okay, just 1 minute left for a very quick question if anyone has. If not, we'll move on. Okay, final call. So thank you, Parabol. We'll move on to our next speaker.
Thanks for everyone.
Great. So next up we have Youngwoo-san from 365EH to share their solution. Youngwoo, the floor is all yours.
Oh, may I start, sir?
Yes, please go ahead. Share your screen.
Hold on a second, please. Let me share the files. Do you see the PPT?
Perfect.
Okay, let me start. Good evening, sir and ma'am. I'm Mr. Lee in 365EH. 365EH have founded 2016. PCG system of 365EH is the world's first power generation system that utilizes the passing road of vehicle installed on the building's parking space floor. Target of PCG system is energy smart buildings, which make change evolution of buildings and vehicles energy consumer to producers. And also it is predictable power generation on 365 days. The increase of EVs bring urban energy shortage problems. In particular, EV charging power shortage problems are the most serious issues, especially due to apartments, which need a lot of charging power for EVs. PC system is the new urban energy. With the PC system, buildings owners and its members become power plant owners. The biggest advantage of PCG is being energy independent entity that is self-sufficient in electricity. With a PC system, some buildings don't need to be produce electricity from outside. PC system generate predictable energy by horizontal and vertical patterns of vehicle in real life. PCG is a patented unique technology with utilize the structure, vertical pattern of buildings, parking space, and the access pattern for individual users, and maximize structure and power generation efficiency through a generation structure separation type. The power generator cells combines technology rotation conversion and speed increasing for repeated vertical rolls. As a small and multiple type, the power generator cells have secured economic feasibility as well as convenience in manufacturing and maintenance. The amount of power generation of a PC system is proportional to the number of passing vehicles. This diagram shows the amount of power generation and cash flow in case of 3,000 vehicles. The PC system is a convergence technology with the power generator cells, ESS, EV charger, control systems. We realize PCG eco building through the convergence of PCG's patented technology and general purpose technology. PCG eco building owns electricity as well as carbon credits and trade them. This diagram shows you the amount of power generation and cash flows of LS apartment, for example. And under these conditions, you can see that profits are generated from the third year. In the case of the non-residential buildings, it can be confirmed that profits are generated from the fourth years due to the decrease in profit efficiency due to the small amount of vehicles movement compared to the residential buildings. But this is just an example. It can be different, could depend on the installation conditions. This is 5EH, conduct global direct and indirect investment based on the construction, operation, and service business. Through the increase of the EV market, we predict that the PCG system market will expand step by step through PCG advancement and cost reduction internal innovation. This diagram shows 365EH's mid to long-term target sales plan. 365 wants urban energy paradigm shift with PCG spaces. It is future where buildings, vehicles, and members evolve into the energy source.
Okay, we're just under 5 minutes as well, so please wrap
Okay.
up your presentation.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. 365 need a global partnership. We believe that PC system can be completed through the convergence of 365 EA technology and Hitachi technology. Yeah, 365 wants investment, joint research, and joint business with Hitachi's. Thank you all for listening. This is the end.
Wonderful. Thank you, Yungu. Let's hand over to our judges for questions.
Again, let me start. Okay, thank you very much, Lisa. That it is quite interesting in terms of the technology, but I'm curious about the market opportunity. If I understood correctly, you mentioned about some kind of economical viable number of vehicles the apartment has is around 3,000 or something like that. So does that mean the annual number of vehicles passing by, or what's the number means?
You mean what is the 3,000 vehicles?
Yeah, 3,000 or 2,000.
Oh, it's the number of passing vehicles into driving in and out to the buildings.
Okay.
We just set the condition for the example.
Per year, right?
No, not today. Not per the year. Vehicles moving, driving in and out every day. It's for the day.
Every day. Okay. So then I'm wondering how many potential customers you may expect for such a large structure or apartment. I'm wondering the customer attraction potentially.
We think if our technology is maybe completed, maybe all the global buildings will be our market. So the potential can be counted and so much, and it could be used for maybe just high density cities like Tokyo or Seoul. Yes, it could be installed anywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere can be the market.
Yeah. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions from the judges, please?
If I may follow Funaki-san's question, is Peter from London. Thank you, Lee, for your exciting project and presentation. I do have a similar question because you say with this technology you create energy. How you balance the demand versus the energy created? So that means you have a storage eventually on site that helps to charge the EVs. But this needs to be in a balance in terms of charging demand and energy created. How you balance this, and as this is high capex overall, and I follow Funaki-san's thought, how you integrate the battery storage? Is the battery storage already integrated in your total cost, or that comes extra?
If you see the slide, it's the components of our systems. There is a power generator. There's the red things cells are the power generators. Beside that, there was a small ESS on the floor, each floor, and next to is sent to the reusable battery.
Just a question. Small means how many kilowatt?
How many kilowatt? So first we now we focus at it generator for the 500 watt in the minute.
Per storage per floor. That means one storage per floor is 500 kilowatt.
No, just one push, one vehicle. When the one vehicle just go to push it, our generator.
How many kilowatt again?
Hold on a second, please. No, no, even I'm sorry, sir. Yeah, the 100, 500 watt for the minute.
Okay, watt. Yes. Okay. Understood. And the storage capacity per floor on the parking deck, what is your assumption?
Floor.
Yeah, for the storage, for the energy storage system, how much, how big, what is the size?
You mean size?
And not in millimeter, in kilowatt.
Oh, electric size. It depends on the buildings. It depends on the conditions.
I see. Because simple question, if it's a 500 kilowatt storage in the total building, that comes for a cost. This cost is included in your total capex. Is this correct?
Yeah, it's correct. It's included.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Any more questions from the judges? Okay, last call. If we don't have any more, I'd like to thank 365EH for your presentation. And next, we're going to welcome Christoph Pigmal from Autonom to share their remarks. Christoph, please take the floor.
Yes, hello everyone. Just I share my screen. And, okay, is it okay for you?
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay, perfect. So, hello everyone. First, I would like to say that we are very honored to be part of the finalists. My name is Christoph Pikemal. I am the co-founder of Autonom, an engineering company which develops disruptive technology with the many benefits it offers. I will also talk about the market we can address, especially those where a collaboration with Hitachi can allow our company to consolidate, gain market share, or take a leading position. We propose a real paradigm shift for drivetrain or powertrain. In current battery technology, cells are connected in series to fix voltage, then in parallel for the capacity. With our innovation, the switch BMS, the cells are connected directly to the electronics to create a dynamic architecture that will allow the battery to accept and supply any voltage, current, or signal, AC or DC. That is no more charger, no more regulator, converter, inverter, even motor controller. Thus, the losses observed on this device also disappear. Our solution is based on a full electronic optimization. We are completely agnostic to cell chemistry. Benefits are amazing. Three are major. An increase in efficiency from 10 to 20%. It depends on the sector of activity. A reduction in weight and size of the solution. And as we use the cells in pulse mode, we increase the number of cycles. In case of failure of one or several cells, we can disconnect these cells and continue to use the battery, and a management done at the cell level according to the SOC temperature and SOH allow us to increase the lifespan of the battery. The first demonstrator we've done allowed us to validate all the benefits announced by independent laboratories, and the TCO of the solution is 17% more profitable than with traditional technology, according to the analysis made by a leader of the power tools in the US. Being connected to each cell, we can measure the impedance of each cell and have a real SOH we know in real time the residual value of the battery. With the business model shifting from the ownership to usage, we do believe that the data quality will make a real difference. Thanks to the data collected, we can constantly improve our solution, optimize the use of the battery and its maintenance, and we can program updates. All business sectors are interested, including the cell makers. Our solution allows a new business model as the battery as a service. We work from TRR 4 to 6, and we support our customers from TRR 7 to 9. Our business model consists in invoicing the studies of specification of our customers, as well as the royalties by produced batteries according to the number of kilowatt per hour and the sector of activity. We also propose a data subscription offer. Over the last 2 years, we have seen the arrival of several companies working on the same concept. The automotive group Stellantis is the closest to our technology. They plan to use it in mass production as early as 2035, and after a first prototype scheduled for 2027. We have also carried out an in-depth study of the existing patents of these companies, and we think that we are protected. We know that we are protected by our own patents. As you can see, our technology addresses several global markets. We started with a portable power station, and we want to gradually address the stationary storage and electric mobility. We are currently designing 11 kilowatt per hour battery that should lead us to develop it in collaboration with you, either a battery energy storage like the BESS you have in the PQ Plus for the microgrid, or a battery to equip your train. Hitachi would be a valuable partner to allow quick access to the market with a technology that we believe will become a new standard for batteries in the coming years. Thanks for your attention.
Wonderful. Thank you, Christophe, for taking us through your solution. Perfect timing as well. So over to the judges for the Q&A.
Okay, again, can I? Yeah, thank you very much, Chris. If it is realized, it's a exciting technology, but I'm wondering if you are taking care of the safety side. If you shift in your business from a portable battery to the more societal needs, the safety will be the first priority to consider, I guess.
Yes, I will let my related to answer to you is in charge of the technical part.
Hello, Frédéric Escaro, as well. So of course, it's a BMS, so battery management system. So the first functions are securities. And because we have switch on each cells, it's really easier to have a high level of security on this system. Mm-hmm. Just imagine that if you have any kind of failures, first we will know that which cell is in default and which cells has the worst impedance, for example, really closely and fastly. And we can open the circuit really in microseconds on the cell level. And of course, you still have over voltage, over current, temperature measurement is done for one sensor is for 2 cells in our system by design.
Mm-hmm. Is there any risk of a total system in terms of, for example, short circuit and some kind of...
The system is done with modules, which are added, we'll say the slave PCBs, and all slaves and all cells are completely isolated, one to the others. So it's completely safe.
Okay, got it. Understood. Thank you.
You're welcome.
If I may, maintaining the pattern, following Funaki-san, it is also related to the battery-specific application. You have portable and home use in your base camps so far, but the challenge is increasing by 10 for sure if you consider 250 or 500 kilowatt BESS solutions. In this context, I have seen your roadmap. I haven't seen any base camp addressing, let's say, small size BESS solution, for example, 250 to 500 kilowatt. What is your plan to have your first prototype in this direction, which is a completely different game to play?
In fact, it's the same architecture in our case, but we have to move forward step by step because it's a new technology. And for sure, it has to be mastered. Each function has to be mastered before going to a high power system. But the thing is, we manage low voltage and add them one after the other one. So in fact, the key point is to master and manage the current. And this is done after the battery finally on the nodes, current nodes. So it's completely managed as currently. All the nodes are going to power products to get the highest current you want. But concerning the voltage, quite easy to do 400 volt AC or DC today, or having lots of cells to manage. We can do it fastly and faster. So I would say a BESS can be done in 2 years, 2 or 3 years maximum, with all the standards, security.
Okay, thank you.
But we will need the industrial's input to go very fastly, for sure.
Yeah,
we are only electronicians. Huh?
Yes, and also the test bed accordingly. If you have a second, the test bed you do have right now is for home use. I mean, very compact. But we talk about small size BESS solution. Do you have the capability to do the test bed at your side, or do you have to?
We work directly with laboratories as TÜV, Emitech, CRIT. Those huge laboratories have all the facilities to do those tests. And this is why we have those proof done by these specialists.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Peter. Any more questions?
Can I ask a question?
Please.
Thank you. You mentioned about patent. So can you tell us a little bit more about your patent? Which kind of novelty you have or innovative solution you have? So
I cannot define the patent because it's a completely open discussion and on YouTube.
Okay.
But by the way, the first patent we had is from March 21 and defined the architecture. It's completely public now. And the second one is on the current management. Mm-hmm. And the third and fourth one, which will be deposed, will be done in January and February, again on the modularity of this system.
Okay, thank you.
And for sure, it's a cell management. It's not a series of cell management, which is done for lots of our challengers today.
Right, thank you.
Thank you. Time for one more question, if anyone has one. Okay, if not, we'll move on. Thank you, Autonom, for introducing your solution.
Thank you.
Great. So to finish the first pitch session, the first half of today, we have Marco Gian Medini from Punix to share their remarks. Marco Gian, over to you. Marco Gian, are you there? Okay, I see you there.
Sorry, my Zoom was crashing while trying to share my screen. So does it work now?
Perfect. Yeah, we see you. We're not seeing your screen just yet. I don't think. Oh, yeah, we see it now. Sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry for that, and thank you for having me here. Let me tell you what we're doing at Pionix. If you're looking at nowadays electric car charging infrastructure, they're all looking very, very different from the outside. There are hundreds or thousands of different models there. And even worse, and this is an actual problem, they're looking very different from the inside. And I'm talking about software here. And this has a lot of consequences, this high diversity within the chargers. Compatibility is a nightmare. So you have to cross-test basically every charger with every car, every charger with every cloud or solar installation or electric grid interconnectivity. So this is a really, really hard to manage complexity. Basically, you're wasting a lot of resources because it's always the same software you have to implement to get this right. And also this big diversity is really, really hard to maintain. I think in the US, 25% of the chargers are permanently down, non-operational. By official numbers, and official numbers go even higher. And there are now new laws to bring this number down to 3%, and no one knows how to do that. What we're proposing is cleaning up this mess by having a standardized software base layer, which takes care of this 90% software shared along all different chargers. So basically, you could say we're planning something like an Android for chargers, wall boxes, fast chargers, whatever, and standardizing the software problem, but in a way that it's still customizable. Let me walk you through that. So what is the charger doing at its core? It's basically a small computer taking care of the power electronics, communication to the car, communication to local power sources or local batteries, and the power grid, interchanging information with humans, either with display, buttons, RFID readers, apps, and finally talking to various different many clouds. So for maintenance, for payment, for management of the charge points. And what we want to do is connecting, cleaning up this inner structure of the software to having a modular system. We have this Everest system made in a way that you can reuse the same modules in all different situations. Here's some examples on the right. And by that, the developers can focus what really matters for them. So if I typically talk to management level, I show them this graph. The classical model how to build the software for a charger is you're starting with a standard operating system. Typically, it's Linux. You're putting certain black box components from different vendors on top, and then you're adding a lot of software yourself. The software you're adding has to communicate with all those different black boxes. A big consultant agency described it to me in a way, it's like you're mixing Lego and Playmobil and wooden bricks and using hot glue and connecting everything together. And this ends up in a mess, and it typically breaks at the hot glue. What we're suggesting is moving to scaling up the open source component, not only for the operating system, but also for all the commodity functionality in charging. So interchanging with cars, with the clouds, etc. And doing that in a way that this is seamless and can't break apart. So you, anyone as a charger maker, can focus on what makes you special and don't have to waste your money. And this comes with no vendor lock-in. We, Everest, and the community, I will show you in a minute, takes care of the majority of the functionality. And you also have no risk through these black boxes. And at the end of the day, you will also save a lot of money. So the ecosystem, which takes care of the software, is we as Pionix, we initiated this project and donated it to the Linux Foundation, which is an international non-profit organization with more than 1,000 corporate members, taking care of, I think, more than 700 projects, really, really large ones, like the Linux kernel. They take care of, let's say, quality assurance and marketing and interconnectivity of different software projects. There will only be one charging project, and that's us. We are working with a lot of universities. We're working with the hacker and makerspace, but most importantly, we're working with the EV charging ecosystem. This ends on the right with those who operate the chargers, where we're not focusing so much yet, because at the moment, all the energy goes into scaling this into products. And there's 3 official products I could name, AC and DC, where we're scaling our software inside. There's way more we're working under NDA to bring Everest as a white label solution into those chargers. But more importantly, we're also working with the supply chain. So everyone who builds components for chargers, like Texas Instruments, ChargeByte, and Phytech, is really interested that they can sell their products better. And this is easier done if you're not only handing over a manual how to use that components, but you can also hand over software, like a printer driver, so to say, to use your components. Yeah, and by them and all their customer base, we're expecting a huge scale of this solution in the next year. And there's more component suppliers in our waiting list. So the typical solution with Everest, basically to repeat myself, helps you with incompatibilities between a lot of different interconnections you have at a charger. You're saving a lot of money, and you also can speed up innovation because nothing has to be first discussed in a committee and then implemented worldwide 1,000 times. You can directly bring in new innovation ideas and scale it through entire ecosystem if you have a business value in this. And we're actually preventing stranded assets. There will be a lot of chargers, and they have to change and adapt to new car generations and new changes in the power grid with greenification of the grid all the time. And with Everest, we can make sure all of this is future-proof. Yeah, and to end, I would propose to bring this into Hitachi. I think we can make you and your components you're supplying really enabling you way broader market by software compatibility. We can help you with your cloud offerings to be compatible with a lot of chargers on the other end. And I think this could be a nice story. And I'm curious for your questions. Thank you for your attention.
Wonderful. Thank you, Marco. Jan, so over to the judges for the 8-minute Q&A session.
So can I? Thank you very much, Marco. It looks interesting, but maybe I couldn't catch exactly what you want to make. In terms of the revenue making, are you planning to make a business on the license the provider or some kind of integrator together with the EV charger makers or something like that?
So first of all, this open source is entirely free. Everyone can use it. So you could call it a freemium business model. We're not expecting to take money from everyone who's using this. And this is part of the game to reach big scale and also to collect contributions from all over the industry. But for those who need our support, we're expecting this to be, let's say, 30 to 50% of the market. We're offering integration services, but more importantly, helping them with constantless fresh software updates. So in Europe, you have to have software updates for your product you're selling for the entire lifespan. If you have public charging infrastructure, you have to do this for sure. Otherwise, it will pretty quickly run out of operation. And this is what we can take care for. And this is our main business purpose.
Okay, understood. Yeah.
Thank you. Kenichi, over to the judges for questions.
Can I ask a question? This is Hiromitsu Kato. Thank you very much for your great presentation. Do you have any actual track record for the delivery in the actual social implementation of your solution?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So yes, we have 2 chargers which will hit the market with our software end of this year. So we're in the final steps with Mahle, which is a big German tier 1 supplier building an AC charging workplace charging park solution. We're working with a Belgian company on bidirectional DC charger, more for the home situation. And those will hit in the next weeks the market, and there's way more on the roadmap. We're also working with big car makers which want to make custom charging solutions which have, let's say, some special functions included, only working with their cars and things like this.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Hiromitsu. Any more questions?
Just from me, from Peter from London. Thank you, Marco, for your presentation. Looking through the paper, please correct me. There is some hardware to be installed as well, some kind of ARM PCs type of something. Because I saw this in your deck, and that was confusing me. So now you talk only on the software level, so you can integrate easily, so without any hardware to be installed. Is this correct? And you're nodding.
This is correct. No, we included that in the appendix because we are already working with those big makers like Texas Instruments to bring it also into their product supply chain. but we are really agnostic. So we are already integrated, I think, on 7 different hardware platforms. I think the last integration took us half a day. So the idea is really that this scales across the entire industry. And through this big integrators and big vendors like Texas Instruments and others I couldn't talk about, we see the traction that this will actually happen. Especially everyone we're talking to is so happy to be relieved from this 90% commodity work, that this, especially for new players entering the market, gets a big traction, but we also see existing players in the market opting out of doing everything themselves.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of security, especially on open source, I mean, also on the charger, customer expectation or experience is key. If the charger is not functioning, and we have quite a lousy system in terms of payments in Germany, so you have multiple payments level, and customer is quite upset if this charging process is interrupted or not functioning as expected, or even too low when it's fast charge. In this case, how your software is secure, cyber secure, to overcome these challenges?
So first of all, yeah, you're right. This is a big pain, that software quality of the existing solution is very often very poor. So we see that every day, that this is a typical hassle everyone wants to overcome. If you do open source right and the software development process is right, then you can gain a lot of cybersecurity, because you're operating in the wild. You get a lot of more eyes looking at your solution. You just have to also take care of the industrial process as well. Many of the things we're doing in charging, we are following the standards. So there are certain things in charging which are unsecure, or we can't do much about, because the standards are designed in a lousy way. But we're also working with the committees, with the working groups, to improve this, and doing everything we can to add access security around those standards to not let this become an issue. For example, RFID cards, you can just copy them and pay with someone else. Okay, you can just guess RFID card IDs. And this is something we can't fix in the ecosystem. But we are part of the long-term solution for this.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Peter. Time for one more question. If anyone has one for PNX. Okay, I thought I heard someone's breath there. One last chance. Okay, I think we're good then. So thank you very much, judges, and thank you, PNX. So now, thank you. So now we're going to take a 5-minute break before resuming our second pitch session of the day, the second half. So judges, a gentle reminder to score the pitches for the first 5 startups who have done their presentations, if you have not already done so. So please to remember to input your scores and click on confirm on the Agorize platform in order to submit the assessment. So thank you, have a quick rest, quick break, and we'll see you in a short while. Okay, great. Thank you, everyone. Hope you had a nice break there. So we're back, and we will now commence our second pitch session, or the second half of our pitch session. I wish all the best to our remaining finalists. And first up, we have Matan Nir from No Traffic to share their presentation. Matan, please, over to you.
Hello, guys. First of all, I'm super excited to be here. Can you see my screen? You can see my screen. Okay. So my name is Matan. I'm Director of Marketing and Business Development for No Traffic. We developed the world's leading mobility platform, chosen by magazine Time to 1 out of 100 most influential companies for 2022. Before I dive in to our solution, I want to take you and talk about the problem for a second. So what you're seeing here is multiple applications for how smart city should look like in terms of mobility. We are talking of prioritization for different type of road users, micro-mobility support, traffic optimization, and a lot of other mobility services that at the end are depending on a singularized grid support. The barrier here is the fact that there is no connectivity in signalized intersection to date, meaning that intersections are not able to sharing data and receiving data. They're just a standalone hardware. The second problem is that all 99 of signal intersection are working on predefined plans, timing plans, which means that they are agnostic to the conditions on the road. If there are accidents, road blockages, football game, or if we take, for example, the pandemic, the corona pandemic that changed all the patterns that has been used on the roads. The third part is legacy vertical solutions with limited interoperability because there is no connection, there is no compute power, and basically there are a lot of hardware solution to try and tackle all the mobility services that we talked. Basically, what we have developed in No Traffic is an IoT cloud platform for mobility, which has three components. The first component is plug and play AI IoT devices, as you can see over here. We have a grid operation system that basically provides the end users with all the information it needs to know in terms of mobility. And the third part is a 24/7, 365 AI-based support. Let's dive into each one of the components. The first one is our IoT devices. In less than 2 hours, only need electricity. We are able to retrofit any intersection in the world and make it digital. The sensor has camera and radar-based sensors. AI algorithms analyze all type of road users, including pedestrians, scooters, bicyclists, and whatnot. Cloud connected, OTA, operation and support, and also future-proof, supporting 5G and V2X communication capabilities. Our second component is the support system, where staff with experienced traffic analytics that manage and monitor all the intersections that we are managing, recommending action per agency processes. We're giving automated alerts and notification and real-time notification into traffic and equipment issues. The last part is, of course, intelligent insights. We are providing our customers with a dashboard. We're giving them accurate, reliable, and timely data, performance measure, and of course, real-time alerts in a case of an accident or a lot of other stuff that happens in a city. No Traffic ecosystem also provide a lot of other features. We are providing services, mobility services to the public sector, as you can see here, but also providing services to the private sector, working with insurance companies, with fleet management, freight and ride sharing, and also APIs for auto OEMs. Now, let me take you quickly to see a video because words can really describe what we're doing. So here's a case study from a city called Tucson in Arizona. Here we took a mile of downtown of Tucson that has high congestion for over 1 hour of drivers waiting on the corridor. We took a drone and basically did the before and after case study, before we operate our system in optimization mode and after. What you can see now is the difference in 4 p.m. In the left side, you will see the peak almost 1 mile. And with us, there is basically no queue. We're able to decrease 10 minutes per driver in average. And here is the 8 a.m. peak, which is more massively, you can see the impact. So this is our impact on the cities. And this is basically what we are doing in order to make cities much more mobility. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Matan, for taking us through your solution. Let's start the Q&A from the judges.
So let me begin. Thank you very much. Quite interesting, Matan. My question is a little bit kind of a side things, but how do you make the infrastructure side controllable according to your sensor data?
Yeah, so we have two components. We have the sensors that we are deploying on top of traffic lights or poles or wherever we can place it. And we have another hardware component, which is the controller unit. We are basically connecting to any controller out there of the existing intersection. We have a patent on that. And basically, we have this method we are calling zero walk home for municipalities, where the only thing we're asking from them in order to operate the intersection is AC power. So we are connecting, to the old controller of the intersection.
So do you cover such an engineering work?
Excuse me?
Do you cover also such an engineering work to
Yes,
implement the control?
We are basically the ones who deploy the system. We also work with partners that install the system for us, if it's distributors or other partners. Yes.
Okay.
So it depends on the customer, on the project.
Okay, got it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kenichi. Any more questions from the judges?
Can I ask a question? Thank you. Very interesting. So, in general, what are the challenges for your company in bringing this solution to more customers? And then secondly, are you also targeting the European market?
Yeah, so good question. Thank you very much for asking. At the moment, we are focusing on the US and Canada, and next year we're gonna penetrate to the European market. The way we tackle the expanding the reach, we are working with resellers, local resellers now in the United States that basically sells traffic products. Now the technology is coming into those traffic agencies, which is basically a legacy industry that haven't changed in the last 108 years. And now the agencies are seeing these technology advantages and starting to implement solution like ours. I didn't mention it, but we are already working with 35 cities in the United States and also 4 cities in Canada. We are operating more than 250 intersections to date.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hiro. Any more questions from our judges?
If I may, it's Peter from London. Thank you, Matan. Impressive presentation, like the video. Any IP or value proposition on your hardware side? That's one. And who is manufacturing that? The second. And the third question, the data fusion, how you secure that the other players share their data with your platform?
Yeah, so I will try to answer all the three. We are the one who basically we have assembly lines in Israel where we are taking the camera's radar and basically assemble them here in Israel and also in the United States. The IP is ours. We have patents for our fusion, for example, fusion of radar and camera. We do this fusion, by the way, in order to get validation in any weather condition, because camera is not enough and radar is also not enough. And the last question, I forgot.
Last question is in terms of the data fusion, the other players, you obtain data only from your system, or you also integrate existing data from the surveillance systems or any additional traffic systems already in place, and how you secure that you obtain that data, or you rely only on your data generated?
So we can do both ways. It really depends on the agency and what technology they are using today. So it really depends. We usually run our data on the agency servers, but it really depends on the project and what the city want to achieve. But we are doing both ways. But we are our data, we are collecting it from our sensor, and we also have the ability to integrate other data. Just for example, we're doing prioritization for public transportation. And we have the ability to get the information, the schedule, for example, of this bus, if I may, and the occupation of the bus, in order to know if this bus needs to be prioritized or not. If he's late to the schedule, if his capacity, if he has 20% capacity, we will not pass him, and so on. So it's, basically, yes.
Thank you.
Sure.
Great, thank you, Peter. Any more questions from our judges?
Question? Thank you very much for your presentation. Do you have any regulatory issues when you deploy your solution? I just imagine that depending on the country or regions, it will be not allowed to install your solutions.
Yeah, so to be honest, United States, Canada, and also the European market are accepting us. We are not tapping into the privacy issues. We are not having face recognition. We are not tracking a license plate. We decided not to do it because of this concern, basically. So we don't see any concerns from our partners, to be honest.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So last chance for a question. One more traffic. Okay, it looks like we're good. So thank you, Matan.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, our judges. And next up, we have Adam Ridgway from One Moto Technologies to share their presentation. Adam, over to you.
Thank you very much for having me. So I'd like to introduce you to One Moto, but before I do, I'd like to share a quote that means a great deal to us and hopefully will do you. We're the first generation to be affected by climate change and the last to be able to do something about it. We're a young, lean, fast-growing mobility brand. FinTech meets hardtech EV ecosystem. We've got a vision that's global, a mission to bring change, and impact-driven is within our DNA, and we're a company built on values. So the societal value, there wasn't an EV ecosystem, so we decided to build one. And if we take the problems that we address, I'm personally based in Dubai. There's 92,000 petrol motorcycles on the roads in Dubai, delivering various different packages, parcels, foods that are polluting 50 times more than SUVs and buses, which is killing just over 290,000 acres of forest each year, producing 245,000 tons of CO2. That's just 92,000. There's 37 million in India, 20 million in Pakistan, 1.3 million in the UK. So it's a significant issue. And if we look at what 1 ton of those is, it's nearly 1,200 square kilometers. That's just in Dubai each year. And then profitability is also an issue. So currently in the gig economy, riders pay for their own fuel, which is around $2,000 a year. And what we've proven is an ROI of 3 to 5 months just through cost savings alone. So it's 74% lower cost of ownership for an EV fleet as it is a petrol one. And also the time, welfare, safety of riders working within that gig economy are optimized through big data. So we reduce working pressure by optimizing routes, providing data to governments so they can make real-time policy recommendations and changes. We increase productivity from 1.2 deliveries an hour to 3.4 and enhancing the rider welfare throughout. So if we look at the market, the global EV market is 980 billion by 2028. And if we take 2025, the addressable market in the UAE is around $2.2 billion. And we believe we can attain 10% of that by the end of next year. Last year, 21, saw the revenue mix purely focused on sales. And then with lease partners being introduced this year, we're able to focus on the monthly recurring revenue with battery as a service, software as a service, as well as leasing. So currently we're based in 5 continents, although we're growing rapidly over 3 years. It's also very modest growth, but we do have a very ambitious growth of 100 cities by 2028 with 1 million vehicles sold. The innovation through tech, we've got 5 verticals to the business. One Moto manufacturing, which domesticates our supply chain through JV partners. Battery as a service, the business model is asset finance. Then One Fleet, a fully owned and operated EV fleet, again, asset finance. And then One App, the software as a service. So it's a fleet and rider management solution. And we're growing through a distribution network for international growth. 90% of business is focused on the last mile delivery sector. And we do that with these 2 vehicles. Biker, which is the all-electric delivery bike with swappable batteries, 3-pin charging, hyper convenient, and hot weather tested here in the UAE, as well as Deliver, which is the all-electric delivery van. Battery as a service, phase 1 of the mobile units, and then phase 2 are in fixed locations based on the data that we acquire and aggregate to where those points need to be. And the 3 vehicles that we're currently in design phase or engineering phase have, they're all built on one frame. They're 3-in-1 hypermodular vehicles with a global penetration or market roadmap. The feasibility of the business, how do we eliminate competition within the sector? Well, we own the entire value chain. And we do this by taking the 4 revenue streams and bringing those back into in-house. So from bike leasing, battery servicing, which is optional, and then the telemetry that's built in with our vehicles. So the impact, we've got various different customers from global players as well as local 3PLs. We're growing at 5.8x over the past year on year. We've got 44,500 vehicles that are committed to through various different contracts and a 21 territory expansion operating at quite a healthy gross margin. We've also won 5 awards. One of the ones I'm most proud of is the UAE Sustainable Business of the Year, and the media attention is ever growing. And we positively impact 15 out of the 17 of the UN's SDGs so far, which I'm very proud of. And we've also set up the region's first Smart Mobility and Innovation Center with RIT University out of New York. And we've got a fantastic team. Personally built and exited 4 businesses. We've got designers, engineers, head of tech, head of innovation, and we're raising capital to accelerate this growth. So a $3 million raise based on equity and debt allows us to further develop the UK ecosystem. And the synergies I see with Hitachi is the battery as a service. So the swappable and fixed battery bank locations, smart ticketing, the shared mobility with Optimus Prime, the 360 motion, and then working with Wisdom. This is where the collaboration really comes into play. So the R&D of the new tech from the batteries, the components, the vapor cooling chambers for the battery banks, and then the modularity, really building that 3-in-1 moto, so fully integrated electric vehicles. We are committed to a better tomorrow. Thank you very much for your time.
Wonderful. Thank you, Adam. Over to our judges for questions.
Yeah, let me start with this. Thank you very much. I saw you are already be much successful in terms of the fast growth, but you mentioned about the potential collaboration with Hitachi around the EV as a service or more connectivity side. But my question is, are your products or devices IoT enabled already, the agnostics from any product or outside system infrastructure?
Absolutely, yes, they are. We've got IoT, we've got obviously the BMS that goes within the vehicles, and we're developing the app in phases to communicate whether you're a private user or a commercial user, you're a government or from a fleet operator. So there's different faces, if you like, or interfaces dependent upon each use case.
So you're ready to connect it, but if you think of the real implementation, there's some API or some data interface will be prepared by Hitachi site, or you are ready to some kind of a configuration platform or supporting devices?
Yeah, exactly for both. When with a lot of EV companies, they say from Lucid, Rivian, Rimac, Lordstown, they base massive valuations without actually producing anything. Whereas what we did is decided to create the vehicles, create the infrastructure that we had the resource to, and then put the business into a roadmap of phases. So where we have this blanket coverage of all of the services being offered to date, something like the technology, that's where phase 2, phase 3, and so on, that's where the collaboration of partnership with Hitachi would be incredibly beneficial. So we've got everything in its nascent arena now, and I believe that with a solid partnership, we can grow that and then expand globally.
Okay, I got it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions?
If I may,
please go ahead.
It's Peter from London. Thank you, Adam. I would like you to explore a little bit further on your battery as a service business model. And I have 3 questions or 2 questions, let's say, related to that. One is, the actual battery supplier today, I assume is coming from China, but maybe you can correct me. In this case, what is your impact on the BMS, and what kind of battery as a service business model you can build on top? Are you owning the batteries, or what is the battery ownership at your actual vehicles today?
Thank you, Peter. So yeah, we've designed our vehicles hypermodular, so we believe that we cannot get superseded by technology because we've designed ourselves to integrate with the latest and then future technology. So if we look at the battery swapping specs, the details are on the screen. The cells that we use for our vehicles are Samsung and LG. We believe through testing that they're the best in the market to date. We are also working with our engineers of prismatic cells for which won't necessarily be swappable. So that's where the battery as a service, say the specs come in. Now the business model is in various phases. Again, it's very modular. So in the UAE, the riders pay around, I'll use dirhams if I may, 800 dirhams a month, which is 29% of their gross annual salary. What we're introducing January next year is 400 dirhams a month, unlimited swaps, as well as a pay-as-you-go offering, which will then allow them to, if they need to, because use case like Amazon and Carrefour, they don't use the full range of battery per shift, whereas others like Uber Eats and Deliveroo, they do use. So they will need to either charge through a 3-pin socket as a top-up charge straight into a wall socket, or to swap the batteries. And we've got the financial model. And then we're also working with Sun Mobility in the UK to start looking at deploying these battery module or battery swapping stations throughout major cities. And with the two phases that we're operating in the UAE is the mobile unit first, using our electric van that will house 50 batteries. And then using the predictive data as well as historical data, we can then forward plan where the vehicle needs to be at any point in time to be at the epicenter of the nucleus of riders. And then over a period of time, because we don't therefore require any government intervention, therefore we'll be able to see where those fixed battery banks need to be. So when we install them, they can be a permanent solution.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. I think 100 dirhams is about just under 4,000 yen, about 3,800 yen at the moment, if any of the judges need that info.
Thank you, Raj.
Any more questions from our judges?
If there's none, I'd like to add one more, a more challenging question, Adam. I mean, this scooter market is quite competitive. One competition might be Blitz Scooter in Israel. You may know them. What is your value proposition according to your vehicles? So are you able to differentiate from the business model, as we understand potentially, but also what is your competitive advantage on the vehicle, the two-wheeler as well as the four-wheeler?
Thank you. So in the UAE, we are first to market, and we realize that won't last forever. We helped write the legislation for this region, and that gives us a competitive advantage. But in terms of the vehicles themselves, the way that they're configured through design and with the 7 new patents that will be applied for by the end of, by the start of next year, that will give us various different competitive advantages. Then you look at the entire ecosystem that we've built. We're building it in the proprietary right for One Moto. However, we will then be able to consider with other competitors entering the market, once we have that dominant position, to integrate through charging adapters, which will obviously be patented through us. We can then allow others to come into the market in the strategic markets that we've positioned ourselves. So Africa, Middle East, Europe, Latin America, as well as in Sri Lanka, feeding through into India. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Peter. Again, any last quick question before we hand over? Great, okay, we'll move on swiftly then. So thank you very much, judges on One Moto Technologies. Next up, I'd like to welcome Victor Bezugli from Smart Nanotube Technologies to share the presentation. Victor, over to you.
Thank you very much, and let me share my presentation now. Mhm. Hope you can see it now. Well, yes, and welcome everybody to my presentation of Smart Nanotube Company. I will present here our technology, which can be defined as electronic nose. And let me say that everybody knows that today machine can see with cameras and can hear with microphones, they can even touch, but there is no electronic nose with which machines can smell. And actually smelling is another level of interaction between machine and real worlds, which was currently missing. Just some words why it was missing, because if you try to combine existing single gas sensor on a big block, so just on the left-hand side, you see just one such typical single gas sensor. So you don't end up with electronic nose actually. So these sensors are not sufficiently high sensitivity. They have higher power consumption, large size that you end up really a big box, and altogether you have a high cost of that. And finally, it doesn't really work like electronic nose. What we have brought now to the world, so we use this new material, which is semiconductor carbon nanotube, produced by us here internally, and this really became a game changer in all this. And we also use inkjet printing technology, which allows us to have a scaled and cost-efficient production, and also artificial intelligence software, which was also a development of these days. So 20 years ago, we couldn't imagine this was possible. What's possible today? And all this ends up in a really multi-channel, very compact smell detector chip produced by us with inkjet printed technology and our carbon nanotubes as a sensing material. And this we can use as electronic nose. It is much more sensitive than other gas sensor technology. It is much more energy efficient, more compact, and low in cost. So with this technology, we target actually mass market applications for electronic nose. This can span from industrial application to healthcare application. And why we can do this? Because we have really very scalable, low cost production. We have one hardware actually platform for many different applications, and we tune this basically by tuning and customizing our software. So with respect to the current Hitachi challenge, we propose 3 different directions where we can develop the product for Hitachi. This can be for tracking cargoes in logistics. This can be safety of passengers and their comfort, and also control of potential batteries run away by sniffing the outgassing them. So in first application, that could be detection of harmful gas, let's say in tunnels or inside the wagons, or it can be control of goods by detecting bad smell from them. So in passenger area, that can be a control of bad smells, let's say in lavatories, and this, the electronic nose will warn about bad smells and give information to cleaning service or switch on the later ventilation. It can be fire prevention when we can sniff the specific overheating smells much earlier than any smoke even would appear. Or we can use our electronic nose to sniff specific outgassing components from batteries before they run away to increase safety and prevent starting fires from them. So how we work is we start with our existing modules for proof of concept and prototyping. So we do pilot as feasibility, then we do product customization, and we can mass produce final products. Also provide the software as a service. And thank you for your attention. Last but not least, we are also in a fundraising now phase. And if you have any interest to that, please contact me directly. So, thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Victor. Over to the judges for questions.
Yeah, let me start with me again. Thank you, Vector. It is quite interesting technology itself, but I'm curious about the for each individual case, do we need to configure the setup or the kind of a sensitivity or threshold levels of the sensors?
Might be. So this we can also do. If so, first of all, we will try not to do this. So first of all, we'll try to this existing detector set to like we do normally approach. So because they were already tested for different environment, different application. Still, as we develop these sensors, we know how to develop them to address specific use cases. We have also developers set up where we can test at any different conditions and for different use cases. This is one aspect which I would like to ask. So the main, of course, is a smell library, which we produce during this development phase. But also for some use cases, I may expect some additional engineer solution, like specific housing or maybe some airflow channel, something like this. This can be also easily integrated in our solution.
So how much the performance or sensitivity of your sensor depends on either on hardware or software?
The hardware is, of course, which is defining the sensitivity. And I may tell you that for many gases which we could test at least precisely with concentration, it's also tricky to test it. Not all gases or smells possible, but for many gases which we tested, we are in low ppb range of precision and sensitivity. So that's really very, very highly sensitive technology.
I see. Okay, thank you very much.
Hello, may I ask a question?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. I'm Takayoshi Nishino from Japan. I saw in the slide that describe about some use cases. I saw tracking cargo in logistics. Can you elaborate a little bit more about that? How do you use this solution for that part?
So there could be different needs actually in tracking. First, let's say there are goods which may deteriorate or may get bad during logistics. So this can be detected by controlling the smell of the goods. Also, they could be a leak from big cisterns, for instance. So this is one European country, so Switzerland, actually, we know the problem that they have really a lot of trains passing the tunnels, and they also they have ammonia or chlor, and then if there is a leak, so the tunnel will be filled with this dangerous gas, and they want to know to be sure that there is no dangerous gas before they put the passenger train the tunnel. Yeah, so there could be really different aspects of controlling some bad situations with electronic nodes.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Takayoshi. Any more questions from our judges?
It's Peter from London. Thank you, Victor, for the presentation. Quite inspiring, this nose technology. The challenge I do see is that, especially for security relevant and very critical infrastructure, already there are a lot of sensors applied and they have to perform to the maximum level of reliability. This critical infrastructure is already well covered with existing sensor technology. You might have an advantage in the future, but how you address this market, which is already very well established with your solution, because as I said, critical infrastructure is already covered with reliable sensing. Are you more reliable, cheaper, better? How you enter that market?
there are different aspects for different markets. So let me bring you two examples. For instance, in fire prevention market, which is completely right. It's already it's first of all very regulated, and also there are plenty of solutions present there for security reasons. But we add another level of security. So we don't replace them. In those risks areas, let's say like electric cabinet, so there are a lot of switchers, and overheating events happen. So we can add another level of security, which is really prevention in an emerging any fire. Yeah, so this different technology. Of course, the smoke detectors should stay. Yeah, this is security to warn people that there is danger, they have to leave the building. But we can add another level of security to guarantee operational continuing. Yeah, because if you have really big machines which should operate, and any time loss in this operation will cost a lot of money, we really can add another level. So, and in the other cases, let's say dangerous gases monitoring. So yes, of course, there are already solutions based on single gas detectors, but with 1 hour module, we can detect already plenty of different gases, yeah, and with higher sensitivity. So I believe even there, so we have some pilot project, we discuss all these industrial with companies who have already their solution implemented. Still, they see the need for better and or even cheaper solution at the end.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Peter. Any more questions? I think we have time just for one more question.
Just a quick question. What kind of business model do you suppose? Is it just selling your product, or do you assume equipment as a service type business?
Both. So actually, our business was based on revenues from modules, so chips with electronics, and also with software, which software is really needed here. So then we provide also licenses for the software, because software should be updated, should be the software has a ability to be improved with it more being in the use. So it's like Shazam for just for smells, not for sound, for songs, for smells. Yeah, so this we can increase precision with the time, and this service we also provide. Yeah, and then this will be a combined hybrid model for hardware and software.
Okay, thank you very much.
Wonderful, thank you, Victor. Perfect timing. So now it's time to, first of all, thank Victor, thank our judges, and next we'll hand over to Andy Hunt from AV Living Lab. Andy, are you with us?
Yes, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Privileged to be here. My name is Andy Hunt. I'm English, but I'm VP of Business Development at AV Living Lab in Ljubljana, in Slovenia. Let me share my screen with you. All good?
Yep, all good.
Great. So we've created an AI driving simulator hub, improving driving behavior and traffic for billions around the globe. Here, this is the actual product and service that we've created. And the idea is that we want to disrupt driver industry, auto insurance, autonomous vehicles, remote driving, road infrastructure, digital twin, and the metaverse. Now, why do we actually want to do that? Well, new era, new mobility, a massive dramatic increase in road accidents, spiraling urban congestion, record levels of greenhouse emissions, and of course, an acute worldwide driver shortage due to a surge in e-commerce. And the reality is that autonomous vehicles won't be here for another 10 to 15 years. So in the meantime, we need to find a better solution. So what we offer is today's automotive artificial intelligence and tomorrow's metaverse revolution. We are hardware developers. So the unit that you see there is physically done by us. We are software developers with embedded 3D environments, avatars, and also machine learning. And finally, we have an AI driving platform, the only AI-generated training system in the world where you have KPIs, and in 15 minutes, the system can assess the driver. We have 100 parameters. So why do we do this? What are the verticals? So basically, our solution is targeted very much to the taxi industry. In Japan, it's 17 billion euro industry, 25% shortage of taxi drivers by 2030, and globally the same. And a massive increase in the share ride and hailing companies with new drivers that we don't know much about. Road and traffic safety, a huge, huge concern to governments. In Japan, 14.76 trillion yen loss of damage. And the objectives by JARI is basically to reduce fatalities, accidents, and to have net zero and improve road safety. A huge concern globally, but also for Japan. Logistics and transport industry. In Japan, there's going to be a shortage of 240,000 drivers by 2027. And there's going to be new reforms in skills, training, and environment. As importantly, new government policies. So we're focusing very much on data. We generate a huge amount of data, and we want to use that data as a goldmine to give it to automotive suppliers and manufacturers to either to sell it to them or to just loan it to them. So it's generation of data. It's data driven. Layout optimization, construction and civil engineering, and digital twin. This is very important to us. These are a couple of examples that we've actually done in Tokyo in the past. So these are also possible accident hotspots. So we can generate this. We can add avatars. We can do simulations of whatever piece of road that we want. So again, a proven go-to-market channel strategy. What we do is we liaise with local governments. It could be road authority transports, the police. They will employ the technology. Then we create a closely knit ecosystem with some of the global brands. The big logistics, the fleet managers, the couriers, the Amazons of this world, the UPS. And we've already got a proven market fit and business model based in Dubai. This is where we launched, and we have a simulated Dubai police. And now we're expanding in the Middle East, Africa, and India. And the combined winning solution for us is a joint partnership with disruptive AI technology. And it's financed by a very clever revenue model based on a share revenue model. Very low capex and share revenue. And I think a very good example as a top down, so from government to corporate, then to regional companies. All the data that we collected, smart driver evaluation, driver skills, 100 parameters with eye tracking glasses, pulse, sweat. We've done also 7 years of in-house hardware development and R&D, and also software with various big global brands, huge. Excuse me. Now, why are we different? We're different because we have a very big technological gap in the AI. All the others are more mechanical. We've got the AI, the only one in the world. And we've also published 69 research papers on AI, on mobility. And we work with, and we developed this in collaboration with Stanford University, University of Washington, Virginia Tech, and University of Surrey in the UK. So again, these are the verticals. What is our solution aimed at? It's aimed at driver recruitment, assessment, and training. Huge. These are kind of immediate, low-hanging fruits. Autonomous vehicle developers, data generation for the future of AVs. Road infrastructure planning and construction. We can simulate, we can build any road in the world. Auto insurance industry, lower the premiums for all these big fleet managers, couriers, and transport logistic companies. Metaverse and in advertising. We can create a road in wherever, in Paris, Tokyo, and link it to the metaverse. And we can also do remote driving from anywhere in the world, both on search and rescue, but training for taxi drivers. This is our team, very international, very clever, very young. The chap at the bottom is a professor at Stanford University, and from a mixed background of corporates, of software engineer, and international business development. So let's make the change together. This is some of the teams and what we do in the Middle East, and we'd like to replicate that and be on the shoulders of a giant such as Hitachi. So I'd like to thank you very much for your time.
Wonderful, thank you, Andy. Over to our judges for questions, please.
Okay, let me start. Thank you, Andy. It is quite interesting, but I'd like to know what is your uniqueness or differentiation from the existing other stuff like a driving simulator or training systems?
Our difference is that we have the AI generated. It's deep machine learning. So within 15 minutes, our machine can actually evaluate and assess the driver, and the AI will then will actually produce a complete trainer driving program. None of the others have that. It's just purely mechanical. So we can replicate scenarios where it might take you 4 hours on the road to replicate. We can replicate a tailgating within 5 minutes, or we can replicate wind, snow, urban, desert, heavy urban. So this is a uniqueness that we have, and we have that digital twin uniqueness as well that we can then link to the metaverse. And we got software engineers who would like to basically use that so on the advertising and more marketing for the long-term business evaluation. So it's really the technology that nobody else has. And big global companies, and I'll name them, let's say Amazon, the first time in the world that they have KPIs, someone looking at their drivers who are the core of their business and it's the core of their image, and they're incorporating our system to incorporate into their ESG corporate policies for the future, to say our drivers have tested, they've passed, they've improved. So we can look at the let's say, the lowest 15%, the worst drivers that are causing most of the accidents and heavy insurance premiums, and we can lower all of that by actually improving their driving skills, behavior, and less accidents, less pollution, less cars on the road, less instructors. This is our value, especially in the logistics part, and also other companies like Continental are very interested, and we partner with them. We have an MOU purely for we can simulate their tire, a blowout, for example. So this is very, very interesting. So we've got some big global brands on our side as well.
Yeah, wonderful, and your story is quite beautiful. But you mean your AI solution needs completely no human assistance, human trainer, or human assessor?
All you need is yes, it needs maintenance. We need one person just to supervise it. It may crash, but we actually need no assistant. We just for example, in Dubai, we have a team. We have one service team. We have one person who will be on constant standby just to tweak anything, or because we have different settings on the simulator. So it doesn't really need a huge human labor force. We can just let it run, and you can run it 24 hours a day. That's the other beauty, day and night.
Yep, got it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kenichi. Any more questions from our judges?
Okay, I have a question.
Okay, please go ahead.
I'm Nishino from Japan. Is your application only for road vehicles? And do you have any other application to, I'm not sure, for example, of course, the railway driver or mine, so big construction vehicles or something like that? Do you have any other domain this technology, your solution can be applied?
At the moment, our solution is primarily for automotive, for cars, for trucks, and motorbikes. So any road vehicle, we can modify it. We could even modify it for a train, although that's really not much use. So at the moment, it's road. But we would like investment to develop onto UAM. So we'd like to develop that for urban air mobility as well. And we've just started that. So air mobility is a future plan, one investment, but primarily at the moment, it's only automotive for professional drivers, for taxi drivers, and for also drivers that maybe are disabled. We've got a big demand in the UK and in Europe for this.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you for the question. Any more judges?
If there's none, may I slip in? Peter from London. Thank you, Andy. This driving simulator essentially is that this experience when you do this simulation is the quality of the twin. And how you generate the twin? Do you have a mapping of different cities all over the world? do you go into super nitty-gritty details? Who is building the twins for you, and what makes your twin qualitative better than others?
Thank you. Yeah, very simply, Peter, we download from Google Maps, and then we use that as a foundation, and we build from that. It really depends what the client wants. It's very long, it's time consuming and very expensive to build digital twin. So it's very much if the client wants it very, very accurate, then yeah, it's going to cost more, take more. But we have 6 engineers, software developers who do it in-house, and we do it ourselves. And the detail can be as good or as bad, and we can do it as short or as long as you want. I think that's also the beauty why we would like also to link up, collaborate with Hitachi, is also because we need software engineers. We need to develop that next phase of digital twin and the metaverse that we believe is going to be a $13 trillion business. So our expertise is good. Slovenia is very known for that, but we can improve, and we need more resources. Basically, we need to double the team in the next year to get that done.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Peter. Time just for one more question, if anyone has one. Okay, if not, we'll move on. So thank you, Andy. Thank you, Eddie and Adina. Thank you, our judges. And so last but not least, we're down to our last sharing today. So could I welcome Trevor Kerwin from Shiva.ai to share their presentation. Trevor, over to you.
Thank you very much, guys. And as I get ready to share the screen here, a big thanks to the Hitachi and Agorize teams. We're very excited to be here today. So thank you very much. And so let's talk about this. What is Shiva AI? We have developed a location-enabled in-car payments and commerce solution that is precise to within 2 meters to monetize the driver experience. Shiva's patented geolocation technology allows drivers to seamlessly pay for and receive services such as fueling, EV charging, parking from parking meters or gates, tolling, curbside pickup, drive-through restaurants without leaving the comfort of the vehicle. Our tech automatically detects the vehicle at a very specific gas pump, parking spot, EV charging spot to within 2 meters or drive-through lane, and we enable payments right on the vehicle's infotainment or IVI screen. We are the vehicle's digital wallet, where we once used cash, then credit cards and smartphones. Why not use your car? So our solution here requires no new infrastructure, no new apps. We're fully in the cloud. We use our patented location technology to authenticate the payments and attach them to the vehicle. So it's very straightforward. One-touch activation by a simple API. Digital wallet for all of those use cases, whether it's parking, tolling, charging, whatever. No app needed for use, although we do work with some automaker OEMs who would like to integrate into their apps, but no additional apps for the specific use case, and integrated payments technology into the vehicle itself. And we're able to detect the vehicle exactly at point of service. A few notes here about kind of where we are in terms of a comparison to common solutions today. In short, we're more accurate and more flexible. We provide the opportunity not just to transact, but to offer more contextualized services to the vehicle operator and driver. Our integrated solution has several use cases, as mentioned right now, fueling and charging, parking meters and gates, tolling, and notification for drive-through and curbside pickup. Those are things we've already launched in the field. In these types of transactions now are quite fragmented, and merchants on one side of these v-commerce, as we call it, vehicle commerce, e-commerce was before, now it's v-commerce, transactions, these guys often typically do not know even very much detail about their heaviest users. One fuel retail merchant we're working with right now, for example, gave away their loyalty program 20 years ago, and then gave away their credit card program 10 years ago. And so they really don't know anything about even their heaviest users, even some of their fleet customers. Smart cities, same issue. In big North American cities, so this is kind of the same across the footprint, but city parking revenues are typically 1/3 parking meters, fees, and 2/3 enforcement, so tickets. Not exactly the greatest user experience to get a ticket. And what does the smart city know about its citizens or visitors, aside from an address to send a tax bill and a ticket in this case? It's not exactly the greatest customer experience. Our integrated solution opens a new aspect of that relationship. Some notes about integration. We're interface agnostic. but our current trials with automakers are via the infotainment screen, as I said, via the IPI in the dashboard. They, of course, consider us a new revenue stream. We work on a transaction model or on a licensing model, depending on what's needed. Like on the fleet side, you might think of more licensing, but otherwise it's per transaction. So our current trials with automakers, we can integrate with it's via their API. That's how they like to have it, and they like to see the new revenue streams sort of replace as we go down the road maintenance and so on that's happening with the switch over to EVs. We can also integrate though with OBD hardware as needed, but typically we integrate the software stack, integrate at the software stack only. Everything we do is delivered in the cloud itself. This simplifies integration for OEMs who can then use over-the-air updates to take us from the 100s and thousands of a model year that we're doing pilots in right now to millions with relative ease. Faster market as well. It's 90 days pilot to production, API to API. It's seamless that way. Seamless backend integration and a relatively light lift on the IT side. And we can white label app integrations as needed if those are indeed still requested. So we're currently partnering with several large automakers and transaction aggregators, particularly in energy and retail right now in North America, India, and Japan. We also have previous smart city pilot projects with the city of Turin and offices in Europe as well. These links here will take you to our 90-second demos. When I come back on, there's a QR code over my shoulder. You can shoot that too. So let's talk about Hitachi and how we would work together on that. Let's look, first of all, at Hitachi's electrified mobility offerings. So, and especially thinking under EV fleet asset management. Our transaction platform is a powerful fleet management tool on that front. So imagine a multi-driver fleet. Each driver would activate their own digital wallet when they get in the car. Think about how you use Netflix, right? You get in and you select your profile. Now you can manage the documenting and accounting for fueling, parking, other vehicle-related charges directly to an individual driver via their unique digital wallet. This cuts down on some of the fraud issues that you've seen around cards with fleets, and also makes for an easier, seamless paperwork for the head office. We can also push relevant alerts to drivers in the fleet about returning to base for time of use charging or a grid event in vehicle-to-grid technology, or to check for at-risk passengers if it's a school bus fleet or a transit fleet, something like that, right? That idea. And the biggest thing I think going forward as well is this real-time location of one-touch seamless integration allows unlocking of vehicle-to-grid technologies. I really think that's going to be a big piece of the future, again, around not just around time of use charging, but also discharging a bi-directional charger and be able to integrate with real-time data from the grid. The piece that's missing in that kind of demand response program right now is real-time location. That's what we provide. So for Hitachi's 360 Motion program, we unlock a lot of different smart cities opportunities as well.
Over 5 minutes. Can you please wrap up shortly?
Okay, just quickly here, I'd say about around this year as well, you can think about optimizing loading, unloading, parking. If you have economic development initiatives, special event pricing for parking, but you generally get to know a lot more about the fleet of users in a smart city environment, whether it's a city fleet or private. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you, Trevor. So on to our last Q&A for the judges and for Shiva.ai.
Can I ask a question?
Yep, please go ahead.
To install your solution, do we need to collaborate with automotive OEM or IVI supplier?
We do work with, we're currently working with, I can say 3 top 10 automakers. I think everybody would recognize the brands if I said them, 3 top 10 automakers, but also tier 1 suppliers as well. In fact, some of them are our strategic investors. So we can integrate either via the hardware that way or via the automaker itself, if that's what you're looking for.
Mm-hmm. So you have already the partner of the
yes, we have
OEM.
the partner. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions, please?
Thank you, Trevor. It's Peter from London. Um, just a simple question. I mean, there is when you collaborate with the OEMs, so that is already installed. So after sales installation is eventually difficult. So that means you miss a market of millions of cars already on the road. That is one challenge you might want to face. And in relation to that is how you differentiate from mobile phone application, which are very well used already at fleet operators. And you also have the communication channel, the verbal opportunity to correct the driver at the minute. So how you would differentiate yourself from existing mobile applications in that domain?
Fair enough. The first one, of course, the context of the car itself for the transaction is what's critical here. You're pulling up to a fueling pump. It identifies the car, activates the pump from inside the car. That's key to that piece. If that answers your question about why it's better, yes, you could use mobile apps. We look at the competing technologies like Zevo that was kind of a failure in that sense. It's not simple enough to recreate the phone environment in the car. You can't have a bunch of apps for a bunch of retailers or that type of idea. We want to do something where the car is actually the contextual piece that does the activation. For your over-the-air update question, that's actually one of the automaker partners. Generally, any car from, depends on the automaker, but 2017, 2018, let's say model year forward, is able to do some kind of over-the-air update. Or some kind of fairly easy update, let's say, but let's call it over the air. So for instance, the one partner we're working with right now wants to work on the pilot is the next year's model year, 2023 model year for one brand. Then if that goes, they're going to open the whole brand. So that's everything built from 2018 to 2023. And then they could simply open all their brands at once. We just need to be ready for that kind of scale. And we do offer we have a beta test version that is a piece of hardware that for some fleet tests we've been doing. So you could retrofit an older car, but the average age of a car in most of the Western world right now is 8 to 11 years, depending on the market. So that will age out over time as we build the transaction side.
Thank you, Trevor.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any last questions from our judges? Okay, it looks like we're done. So thank you, Trevor, and thank you, our judges. Thank you, AI. So now we're going to move on to our jury deliberation. So a big thank you to all our finalists and judging panel for your time today. Thanks for all the insightful pitches. We'll now move to the breakout rooms for deliberation. And here for the judges, Hiro and Meryl will be joining you there. And to our finalists, please take your breaks. You may remain in the main room and we'll resume in around 15 minutes time. Thank you and see you shortly. We're getting back into the room there. So thanks all for the judges for your hard work during the deliberation. And thanks all for the finalists for your patience there. I know when we get to this stage, it's a very tense moment. And when we go over in the judging, it means that it was a very close call. But before we move on to the announcement, I'd like to once again kindly invite Hiroaki Koiwa, Chief Lumada Business Officer and Deputy Chief Digital Officer of Hitachi Rail, to please give his closing remarks for the challenge. Hiroaki, over to you, please.
First of all, thank you for today's speech. All were very, very interesting. And then everyone had their own good points, I think. And it is indeed the top 10 today, selected out of the 200-300 companies. So really, really impressed by the pitch. And I think we need to select one of the winner from this pitch. However, I think each of you, as a global citizens, you also had a message from the other person's point of view. and all of you try to help your target customer and then their customers. So I'm also impressed by this point. As maybe Andy from AV Livings mentioned, I totally agree with him. So we are entering a new era. And it's all about both sides working together more in certain areas and solving the common social challenges. And in this age of the diversification, I think it is important for all of us to be able to offer options to choose. As you know, the world is a crisis after crisis, COVID-19 pandemic, soaring energy price, the situation in Ukraine, but especially in the new normal after COVID-19 pandemic, protecting others is protecting yourself or ourselves. I think this is really important takeaway from the recent crisis. Today, we focus on the mobility and energy. These are the key elements underpinning the economy. So integrated solutions that cross them are expected because they are fragmented and also they are disjoined. Therefore, options to choose is really, really important keyword for our next step. In that sense, so I believe that each of today's topic or themes will determine the shape of the society for the next 20 years, I believe. So we Hitachi, we will do our best, but I hope we can jointly improve this society little by little. So finally, I would like to thank Agorize for organizing this event, and a special thanks to Abe-san for the facilitation of this event, and also Hitachi colleague for mentoring. Thank you. Thank you for your attention.
Wonderful. Thank you, Hiro. So now the segment we've all been waiting for. Not just one winner, but we're pleased to announce 3 winners. And we have a drum roll. I'm pleased to announce that the winners are No Traffic, One Moto, and Smart Nanotubes Technologies. Congratulations to the winners. Give them a round of applause, please. So in no particular order, we've gone by alphabetical order there, all our 3 top winners. So congratulations once again to the winners, but once again to all 10 finalists. That brings us to the end of our final event. And I just want to finish with a huge thank you to all of our finalists for your fantastic work and active participation. A shout out to all our supporting and community partners for being part of this year's challenge, and with whom it would not have been a success. We hope you'll stay in touch with us, and if you have any questions, do feel free to reach out. Thank you to everyone for watching and supporting this event. Have a great evening, stay safe, and we hope to see you again soon. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you all very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.